Maria, my childhood sweetheart, the girl who'd spent years treating me with a kind of gentle coldness, walked into my classroom doorway as if she'd stepped out of a memory. She wore a neat preppy dress, her gaze drifting around the room, pausing just long enough for hope to spark in my chest. For a moment, I truly believed she was here for me. But before I could even take a step, Makoto moved past me, steady, calm, effortless. The second his face entered her line of sight, Maria lit up like the sun, practically bouncing toward him. My feet stopped. My heart sank. Then, out of nowhere, bullet comments flashed in the air, like the universe itself dunking on me. What's this male supporting role thinking? How can he compare to the protagonist, Makoto? Bro's an overconfident extra. He'll confess to Maria later and get rejected on the spot. I stared at the floating comments, speechless. Yeah, I know. I've lived this plot before. Why the hell would I still confess? I'm not an idiot. Everyone expected me to play the noble savior the moment the fragile female supporting role started selling snacks on the street. But instead, drooling like a hungry stray, I walked right up and said, 1 grilled noodles, no chili. She didn't blink. All right. And for the next 3 months, that was our grand, tragic, cinematic exchange. 1 grilled noodles, no chili. All right. The bullet comments were cackling. In this male supporting role's eyes, beauty means nothing. Only grilled noodles matter. Who says loyalty to your cravings isn't its own kind of romantic redemption? The first time I saw Willow on Snack Street, she stood behind her tiny stall in a simple white camisole, watching the busy crowd with that quiet, calm expression of someone used to being overlooked. Her stall was completely empty, which somehow made her seem even smaller. I saw her, but honestly, my real focus was the grilled noodles calling my soul. Saliva pooling, I rushed up. 1 grilled noodles, no chili. Willow lifted her head, her voice soft but steady. All right. She spread the batter with practiced hands, cracked an egg with a crisp snap, and golden yolk slid across the wrapper like sunlight. I couldn't help it. My eyes lit up. Wow, your skills are pretty good. Her face stayed neutral, but her hand shook, flipping the wrapper too early. It tore slightly, and she recovered in a heartbeat, whispering to herself, no big problem. All right, I echoed, as if that meant anything. When she finally handed it over, I barely waited before taking a bite. Chewy wrapper, rich egg, scallions, perfect. Who could possibly understand the beauty of this moment? It was heaven on a plate. I thought that would be the end of it. But the next day, the craving hit again, hard. And then the doubt crept in. This world resets every day for supporting characters like me. It's not destiny, it's programming. I didn't have to go back. But I went anyway. It was summer. The sky still bright in the early evening. Vendors were already out, and in the crowd, I spotted her immediately. Thin, quiet Willow, pushing her stall with both hands, almost swallowed by the people around her. Before I could stop myself, I walked over. Let me help you. She froze for a moment, surprised I'd returned. Her eyes lingered on my face, softening just a little. Thank you. I grinned, waved it off. It's nothing. I'll take 1 grilled noodles, no chili. All right. Back at her spot, she cooked again, more careful this time. No early flips, no mistakes. I watched like I was witnessing fine art, paid, took the food, and walked away without a single extra word. Willow just stared, speechless. 3 months passed like that. People whispered that her family was struggling, that she skipped evening study sessions to support them. The teachers pretended not to see. And me, as a day student, I passed by every evening on my way home. 1 grilled noodles, no chili. All right. Over and over, until she didn't even need me to ask. She'd just start cooking the moment she saw me. One night, as I waited, the invisible comment section exploded again. Is this really what the villain looked like as a teenager? She's stunning. What's wrong with him? I thought he'd try to redeem her, but nope. Only noodles. True dedication is also a form of salvation. I blinked hard. Villain? Me? I looked at Willow again. She was checking the noodles with quiet concentration. cool eyes partly hidden under soft bangs, giving her a kind of distant elegance. Sensing my gaze, she paused. Then she looked up, and her eyes were bright enough to shake something inside me. I was speechless. That was the moment it truly hit me. For someone running a tiny grilled noodle stall on the street, Willow was almost unreal. Her eyes were long and cool, with a tiny red mole resting beneath one of them, a detail so striking it gave her a quiet, dangerous beauty, like a villainess drawn too perfectly. But honestly, the thing that had me captivated wasn't her face. It was the smell of her grilled noodles drifting through the air like a beacon calling my soul home. I swallowed hard, staring at the food like it was my destiny. When will they be ready? The bullet comments burst out laughing again. Look at this. She gives him a flirtatious glance, and he wastes it. Blind man. Food beats beauty every time with this guy. 3 months of grilled noodles straight. Unbelievable. I ignored them. No jokes here. Her grilled noodles, made by this future villainess, were divine, almost suspiciously so. Was this how she'd become a villain in the future? By smuggling dangerously addictive grilled noodles? I was still lost in stupid theories when she suddenly said, "It's ready." I snapped back. Steam rose from the fresh wrapper. Golden egg coating, black sesame seeds sprinkled like little stars, scallions bright and green, and inside ham, lettuce, tender pork. Beautiful. Art, even. I thanked her too many times and didn't even wait to leave before taking a huge bite. Fresh off the grill. Perfect. Then I heard it. A small laugh. I looked up quickly and caught a rare smile flickering across her face. And for the first time, Willow didn't just say, "All right." She asked softly, "Is it really that delicious?" "Yours is really delicious," I answered instantly. No hesitation. No thinking. Any delay would have been disrespectful to the noodles. But something in her expression shifted. She looked straight at me, eyes shimmering, as if she'd mistaken my devotion to food for something else. Her lips parted, like she wanted to say more, but a customer barged in, one with sausage, extra egg and bacon. With my mouth full, I still found the time to promote, "The grilled noodles here are super tasty." The customer didn't doubt it at all. And soon, more people drifted over. A small crowd formed. Satisfied, I slipped away like a hero who completed his mission. I didn't notice Willow looking up again, finding only empty space where I'd stood. Her gaze dimmed. I didn't think much of it. The next morning, school felt like any other day. During break, I went for water and ran straight into Willow in the hallway. I hesitated and pretended not to recognize her. At her stall, she always wore a mask. Maybe she didn't want classmates knowing she worked nights. So I walked past casually. But Willow paused just slightly. Bullet comments popped up again. Did she want to say something? Bro ate her noodles for 3 months straight. How does he not remember her? Doesn't matter. He's just the insignificant male supporting role. I ignored them and went on with my day. By afternoon, it was my turn for classroom duty with my desk mate. But as soon as class ended, I spotted Makoto, the protagonist, walking out. "Hey, man, it's our cleaning shift today," I called. Makoto stopped for 1 second, looked at me with that cold, effortless superiority he was born with, and said, "I've got something else to do. You handle it." Then he walked away. I wanted to argue, but the words froze in my throat when I saw her, Maria, my childhood friend. 18 years of memories wrapped into one preppy outfit and a single soft gaze. She stood at the doorway with a group of girls whispering beside her, but all their attention drifted toward the hallway, toward us, toward Makoto. For a heartbeat, I dared to hope, was she here for me? My pulse raced. I took a step forward, but Makoto reached her first. Her eyes brightened instantly. "Makoto," she called, waving lightly. I stopped where I was. And like always, the bullet comments came from my soul. What's this male supporting role thinking? He can't compare to Makoto. Oh, right. He's a childhood friend. Gets rejected in seconds. Can't wait for the humiliation arc. I sighed. Yeah, I know the script already. As if I let myself walk into that kind of heartbreak again. Not far away, Makoto didn't even look at her. He just kept walking. But Maria hurried after him anyway. I clenched my fist without meaning to. I'd known her my whole life. And somehow, I'd always been the one doing the waiting. Carrying her bag, lifting her luggage, holding her things, while she walked ahead empty-handed and impatient, tossing back a quick, "Hurry up." Back then, I thought that was what liking someone meant. I'd soaked up every stupid line from online relationship gurus. Be a gentleman, give her gifts, make moments special, be thoughtful. I maxed out everything they said would matter. Because at that age, when your heart is just waking up, it's so easy to believe anything that sounds like love. But in all those years, I had never seen that expression on Maria's face. So careful, so expectant, so full of quiet hope. Liking someone, it really is impossible to hide. One look is enough to betray you. My heart dipped. I lowered my head, swallowed the disappointment, and quietly turned back into the classroom. Fine. Tonight, I need 2 portions of grilled noodles to soothe whatever was left of my pride. Down the corridor, Willow, who had been about to leave, stood frozen. She stared in my direction, the light in her eyes flickering like she couldn't decide what she'd just seen. By the time I returned to the classroom, most students had already gone home. The big room felt hollow, echoing with the sound of my own footsteps as I swept and wiped down desks. When I finally threw out the trash and washed my hands, night had already swallowed the sky. Streetlights glowed over the road as I stepped out of school, exhausted. The snack street buzzed with warm lights and sizzling pans. And there, like always, I spotted Willow's stall, except tonight a crowd had gathered around it. I was just about to head over when a sharp male voice cut through the chatter. "Yo, look, it's our grilled noodles beauty. Out here again. Her family's dirt poor, you know. Bet this stuff's garbage. Eat it and you'll get diarrhea." A group of boys in school uniforms snickered as they grabbed at her ingredients, tossing things around like bored delinquents. One of them kicked the cart. A ketchup bottle flew off, hit the ground, and splattered everywhere. Passers-by stepped back instantly. Within minutes, her stall sat isolated, too quiet, too exposed. Willow didn't flinch. She just stood there with that cold, unreadable expression. The boys didn't leave. They sat down at another stall nearby, laughing loudly, waiting for her to break. Bullet comments popped across my vision like a storm. "These guys are awful. Still mad she didn't let them copy answers during exams. She won't be able to keep running her stall like this. Life's only going to get harder." My mood had already been a mess. This pushed it over the edge. I wanted to run straight in, but one look at the group told me I'd get crushed alone. So instead, I grabbed a few random passers-by and begged, "Brothers, please, buy a serving of grilled noodles for me from that stall. Just bring it back. I'll pay everything." They looked confused, but agreed. When they walked toward Willow's stall, the troublemakers' faces twisted in disbelief. Someone was still buying. They glared but didn't dare charge in, not with several people approaching. One by one, the noodles were bought. One by one, the boys' expressions darkened. And then one of them noticed me. Before I could react, he was already striding over. Behind the stall, Willow had been busy cooking. But something made her look up, and when she saw the scene unfolding, her pupils shrank in alarm. "Hey, do you like Willow or what?" The voice was mocking, dripping with cheap arrogance. I turned. But before I could even answer, a fist slammed into my jaw so hard my vision shook. Pain exploded across my face, and I stumbled backward. "You idiot," he sneered, voice turning vicious. "You want to meddle in our business? Looking to die?" Anger flared hot in my chest. I lunged forward, driving my elbow hard into the back of his neck. He grunted, grabbing onto me, and we fell into a messy fight. His friends rushed in, pinning me down. He wiped his bloody nose, raised his fist again, and aimed straight for my face. I turned my head instinctively, bracing for blow, but it never landed. Instead, a heavy thud cracked through the air. I forced my eyes open. The guy who'd been about to hit me now lay on the ground, groaning, and standing above him, Willow, her silhouette framed by streetlight, her shadow falling long across the pavement, a rolling pin gripped in her trembling hand, her expression dark and merciless. She raised it again and slammed it down without hesitation. The world froze. People stopped. Cameras lifted. The air itself seemed afraid to move. Then chaos erupted. One of the thugs grabbed Willow by the ponytail, yanking hard. Another lifted his hand to strike her. I struggled wildly to break free. But before anything could escalate further, someone shouted from the crowd, "Police!" Someone called the police. The thugs froze. Panic washed over them. Just you wait. One spat before dragging their injured friend away and disappearing into the crowd. When the noise finally died down, Willow stood shaking slightly, but still holding onto the rolling pin like it was her last line of defense. Then she knelt beside me, her breath unsteady. "Are you okay?" she whispered. I checked her up and down in a panic. "No, are you hurt?" She shook her head. "I'm fine." Silence settled between us. Her eyes drifted to the bruise forming on my cheek. They reddened, but she held herself together. She returned to her stall quietly. I stood there, watching her work, guilt weighing heavy. No one else approached to buy anything. Everyone who had helped earlier had already left. After a moment, I took a step forward and said awkwardly, I can... Her voice was soft when she asked, "Still just one serving?" I blinked, replaying everything that had happened today, then shook my head. "Today, I'll take 2. She nodded lightly, but as Willow prepared the second bowl, something in her expression dimmed, like a small dark cloud settling over her face. Absent-mindedly, she reached for the chili peppers. I watched her brush layer after layer of chili sauce onto the noodles. Maybe she was still shaken from being harassed earlier. I didn't ask. It didn't feel like the right moment. Worst case, I'd drink a few extra bottles of water later. 10 minutes passed. She handed me the steaming bowls. I paid, reached out, and then her hands froze midair. She bit her lip, her voice barely above a whisper. Senior year isn't the time for romance. I just stared, completely lost. Romance? What on earth was she talking about? All I could think about was how drenched those noodles were in chili and how desperately I needed water before eating them. Distracted, I muttered, I'll get going then. Willow was left speechless. The bullet comments exploded across my vision. Wait, what did she mean by that? She likes the male lead, but he doesn't like her. Meanwhile, the second female lead doesn't like the male supporting role. Everyone's suffering. No, something feels off. I ignored them and got down to business, polishing off the plain noodles first, then wrestling to the spicy bowl. For someone as bad with heat as me, it was torture. Even after chugging water, my throat was wrecked. By the next morning, after barely sleeping, I could barely speak. When I tried calling David during break, only a cracked whisper came out. The guy in front of us nearly fell off his chair laughing. Makoto, ever calm, glanced over. Thanks for helping me clean yesterday. I forced a nod, my voice no more than sandpaper. Don't mention it. In truth, it was nothing special. I wasn't heroic. It just happened. Makoto went quiet. Then, without a word, he stood and walked out. He always moved on his own terms, so I didn't overthink it. But when he returned, he dropped a box of throat lozenges, 2 bottles of cough syrup, and a steaming hot drink right onto my desk. I froze. He didn't even look at me. Just sat, picked up his pen and said softly, "Considered a thank you gift." For a moment, I just stared at everything he'd brought, then at him, and in that instant, something melted inside me. The frustration from yesterday faded. Makoto really was a male lead, steady, righteous, effortlessly kind. No wonder Maria fell for him. The bullet comments swarmed again. What with a male lead is so kind, even to supporting character? Why is the male supporting role staring at him like that? Is he jealous? He's totally plotting revenge. I can feel it. Don't be ridiculous. If a girl doesn't like him, that's that. Stop acting like she owes him something. I sighed. Honestly, I did envy Makoto a little. He had everything, good grades, good looks, and the girl he liked him back. Who wouldn't feel a pinch of jealousy? But revenge? Darkness? That wasn't me. Maria liking Makoto wasn't his fault, and it wasn't the end of the world. There were plenty of other girls out there. Once that thought settled, I felt lighter. During the last period P, I headed toward the school gate when suddenly the bullet comments flashed again. I was about to get tricked into the equipment room and bullied. He's been leaving early every day just to visit his dying grandfather, and when he finally gets there, it's already too late. I stopped cold. Makoto, the male lead, was my desk mate. If this was true, without another thought, I spun around and ran back into the school. The comments kept coming. Why did he suddenly turn back? Maybe he forgot something. I didn't have time to read more. Heart pounding. I sprinted toward the equipment room. But when I reached it, Makoto wasn't anywhere in sight. Had he already gone in? The sun had dipped below the buildings, and thick clouds rolled in overhead. The air felt heavy, like rain was seconds away. Without thinking, I sprinted toward the equipment room. I ran too fast. By the time I reached the steps, my foot slipped, and before I could catch myself, I tumbled down hard. The impact jolted through my knee and ankle, a sharp, blinding pain that left me gasping on the cold ground. Warm blood trickled from my knee, sticking to my skin. From somewhere inside, I heard Makoto's trembling voice. "Is anyone out there?" "Yes," I croaked, forcing my ruined throat to speak. The sound came out eerie, almost ghost-like. Silence, then a hesitant whisper. "George, is that you?" I nodded instinctively, then remembered he couldn't see me, feeling a little stupid. I pushed myself upright and limped forward. When I pulled the door open, the heavy smell of plastic and damp earth rushed out. Makoto was crouched in the corner. When he heard me, he lifted his head, and my heart sank. His face was pale, glistening with cold sweat. He looked like he'd been fighting something invisible and losing. The bullet comments flickered into view. He has claustrophobia. No wonder he looks like that. Poor male lead. But don't worry, the heroine is on her way. Wow, the male supporting role really came to save him after all. I frowned, stepping closer on my injured leg. "Are you okay?" He managed a faint smile. "I'm fine, thank you." Then he stood, barely, and staggered toward the exit. I knew where he was going. The hospital. To see his grandfather. I didn't try to stop him. Just then, footsteps echoed down the hallway. Fast, desperate, more than one pair. Two girls appeared in the doorway. One I'd never seen before, beautiful in a way that made everything else blur around her. That had to be Freya, the heroine mentioned in the comments. And the other was familiar, Maria. They spoke at the same time, breathless with worry. "Makoto, are you okay?" Makoto waved weakly, trying to move forward, but he didn't make it far. His body gave way, collapsing as if someone had unplugged him from life itself. The girls panicked. Freya rushed to catch him, struggling to lift him. "Let's get him to a hospital." Maria quickly took his other arm, steadying him with trembling hands. I opened my mouth, "Maria," but nothing came out except a cracked breath. Still, she heard something. She turned halfway, eyes searching. And just then, thunder tore open the sky. She flinched, turned back, and said, "Don't get caught in the rain. Let's go." "Okay," Freya answered. Their silhouettes disappeared into the cold curtain of rain. The comments rolled in again. Why do I feel so bad for him? He saved the male lead, but no one even noticed. That's how it is. He's not the protagonist. No halo, no spotlight. I bet Willow will hear what happened and rush to the hospital too. George probably won't get his grilled noodles today. I hadn't felt sad before, but that last comment hit somewhere deep. Was I really that pitiful? Night swallowed the last of the daylight. The equipment room sank into cold darkness. Rain rode the wind inside, icy enough to sting. I had no umbrella. With a quiet sigh, I stepped out into the storm. The rain hit hard, sharp, freezing, and every step burned because of my injured leg. Still, for some inexplicable reason, I didn't go home. My feet led me to the snack street instead. The rain had emptied the place. The food stalls looked lonely under the dim lights. I scanned the row instinctively. No sign of her stall. My chest tightened. Of course. No grilled noodles tonight. I lowered my head, ready to leave, when I suddenly heard hurried footsteps behind me. Fast. Urgent. I turned and froze. A girl rushed toward me through the rain, her face tight with worry. Our eyes met, and for a moment, everything else blurred. Willow, I whispered, surprised. Shouldn't she be at the hospital like the comments predicted? She didn't explain. She just walked straight toward me, breath uneven, her long hair dripping rainwater under the glow of the streetlights. She looked like she had run through half the city. Before I understood anything, she pushed an umbrella into my hands. Her eyes were tense. Was it those guys from last time? Did they come after you? I saw you limping. I stared, slow to process everything, then finally shook my head. No, no. Why are you here? She froze, completely still. Then, after a long moment, she looked at me with this fragile, hurt expression and whispered, Why didn't you come to buy grilled noodles? I waited for you for so long. Something in my chest trembled. Waited for me? My heart tripped over itself. I glanced around awkwardly. Where's your stall? She pointed behind me. There were lots of empty spots today, so I picked a good one. But then it started raining. I followed her finger. Only then did I notice she had moved her stall all the way to the entrance of the street, a perfect location, normally full of people, but tonight only rain. I felt a flicker of guilt for her, but after thinking for a moment, I still said, By the way, Makoto seems to be... But Willow suddenly cut in, her brows drawing together. What happened to your voice? I looked at her helplessly. Behind us, the bullet comments exploded. Ha, Willow is worried, but she doesn't know she's the reason he lost his voice. If she hadn't drowned his noodles in chili, he'd still be talking normally. But she abandoned her stall and ran all the way back to school just to check on him. She was scared he wouldn't show up for her noodles. LOL. Excuse me? That last comment makes no sense. Willow didn't understand any of it. Something passed through her eyes, uncertainty, maybe guilt. Then her gaze dropped to my leg. Quietly, she asked, Did you hurt your leg? I'll take you to the hospital. I stared at her. If she wanted to see Makoto, she could have said so directly. No need for the side quest. But she was offering to help me, so I didn't question it. I simply nodded. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Makoto had just regained consciousness when something struck him. He turned toward Maria. Maria, do you know George? The question caught her completely off guard. She instinctively put distance between them. Not really. We're just neighbors. Makoto didn't think twice. About her answer, he simply frowned. Just now he rushed over to help me. But I think he fell. He was limping. I don't know if he made it back. Since you're his neighbor, could you check on him for me? Maria's brows tightened for a moment. He's tough. I'm sure he's fine. You didn't look well. I'll get you something to eat. She turned toward a convenience store, steps brisk, until suddenly they slowed. A memory surfaced. When she was young, every time she scraped her knee or tripped, all she had to do was look back with teary eyes, and George would be running toward her in a panic. Even if she insisted she was fine, he would drag her to the hospital just to make sure. She never saw him romantically, but she always took that care for granted. And now, that voice she heard earlier, the moment before she left the equipment room, it was probably him calling her. A strange, uncomfortable feeling twisted inside her, but she forced it down. He's a grown man, she told herself. A little injury won't kill him. Pitying a man only brings trouble. With that cold conclusion, she stepped forward, only to stop dead, because a few steps ahead, she saw me, and saw who was beside me. My hand rested lightly on Willow's shoulder. Despite her slender build, she supported me with surprising steadiness as we walked down the hallway. Willow didn't notice Maria at first. When I stopped walking, she thought it was because of the pain. She frowned. Does it hurt too much? Should I get you a wheelchair? But when I didn't answer, she sensed a shift. She turned and froze when she saw Maria standing there. Her gaze flickered, moving back and forth between us. But in the end, she stayed silent. I wasn't surprised to see Maria here. I had watched her and Freya take Makoto away earlier. I broke the silence first. Is Makoto doing better? Maria didn't expect me to ask about him. Her eyes flickered. Then her gaze dropped to my knee, still streaked with blood, rainwater, and dirt. Her expression tightened. He's fine, she said softly. He's with his grandfather. A small breath of relief escaped me. That's good. I felt lighter. At least I had made it in time. At least he was safe. The hallway felt quiet again. I glanced sideways at Willow, wondering, was she planning to see Makoto too? But before the thought even fully formed, Willow spoke. Done asking? Then let's go. Her clear voice cut through the hallway. I turned, puzzled, only to find her dark eyes on me, steady and something else. Before I could react, she slipped her arm through mine, holding on gently but firmly. Let's go, she said, in a tone far too soft, far too familiar. She stepped closer. The faint scent of her grilled noodles clung to her, warm, comforting. My throat tightened, and I swallowed reflexively, then felt embarrassed and quickly looked away, pretending to admire the hospital walls. Because of that, I missed the moment her ears turned pink, and I missed the way she shot Maria the quickest, tiniest, sharpest glance. A glance that was almost a challenge. Maria didn't say a word. The bullet comments lit up. Was it just me, or did Willow's look seem different? I ship Willow X George. They look perfect together. Maria is so ungrateful. George took care of her for years, and she just brushes him off. If she only has eyes for the male lead, that's her loss. She walked right past someone who loved her. My heart stirred at their words. Without meaning to, I glanced at Willow, her delicate features, that quiet, pure elegance, her eyes looking straight ahead, focused on the path, not on Makoto, not on Maria, on us, walking together. What a joke. There was no way a girl like her would ever like someone like me. By the time the doctor finished bandaging my leg, it was already close to 8 o'clock. I sat in the hospital lobby, watching her rush back and forth for my sake, and guilt tugged at me. Hey, your stall is still out on the street. I reminded her gently. You should go back. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. I'll head home soon. But she only shook her head, firm and soft all at once. Missing one day doesn't matter. She took the seat beside me, her eyes drifting to the fresh gauze wrapped around my knee. Why don't I get a wheelchair and push you home? I almost jumped. No, that's fine. I already called my dad. He'll come pick me up. You should really go handle your work. All right, she said quietly, but her feet didn't move. I waited and waited. Still, she stayed rooted beside me. Finally confused, I glanced at her, only to find her already staring. The moment our eyes met, she jerked her head away, covering her lips with her hand, as she let out the world's softest, most embarrassed cough. I'll leave when your dad gets here, she muttered, trying to sound casual. I couldn't help laughing. Look at you. I'm a tough guy, all bones and elbows. It's just a fall. You don't need to worry this much. But she turned her head and shot back, calm and sharp. So men don't need to be cared for? Men get hurt too. Men need a sense of security too. Everyone bleeds. Why should men's feelings be ignored? I froze, heart thudding like I'd been hit again, just in a softer place. From that night onward, everything between us shifted. After school, I showed up at her stall, like a moth drawn to the same warm flame. 1 grilled noodles. I said, no chili. Got it, she answered, just like always. But when she handed it to me, the weight felt wrong, too heavy. I looked down. Double noodles, double ingredients, double everything. She had barely any customers that night, but she still noticed I wasn't eating. What's wrong? She asked, frowning slightly. I snapped back to reality. Glancing from the overflowing container to her face, I finally blurted out, should I pay for 2 servings? Willow froze, completely blank for a second. Then, after a tiny pause, no need, my hand slipped. I added too much. Her cheeks were pink, her voice too soft, too rushed. My heart stumbled a little. Thank you, I said quietly. I really like it. And actually, speaking of what I like, would you maybe, yes? The word burst out of her before I even finished. Yes, I like you too. The snack street around us kept moving, noisy and alive, but somehow everything fell still. Her eyes met mine, and something inside me just burst open, like fireworks against a night sky. She laughed at my stunned face. Eat before it gets cold. Right, I said, grabbing a bite. One taste, then I looked at her. Another bite, another glance. She caught on, the corner of her lips curling upward. Want another serving? She teased. Free, for my boyfriend. I shook my head immediately, pulling out 200 yuan. No freeloading. I've got money. I can support your stall. She threw her head back and laughed. All right then. Someone online joked she'd been bought for 200 yuan, that the villainess had fallen for the side character. Maybe the story had changed. Maybe I had too. But in that moment, I didn't care about the script. Villainous or not, she was Willow, and she was mine. Life didn't suddenly become dramatic after we got together. If anything, it settled into something warm and steady. With exams approaching, she closed her stall to study. No more grilled noodles. But I refused to buy from anyone else. So instead, I studied with her. On days she had time, she cooked at home and brought the food to me. What used to be for everyone slowly became something just for me. She would watch me eat, her face soft, her eyes gentle. Eat slowly, she'd say. There's more. How much more? I asked with my mouth full. As much as you can eat, she replied, her eyes sparkling. There will always be enough. Then came the end of exams. I got into University A. She didn't, but she still got accepted into a good school in the same city. I later learned Makoto had gone south, and Maria with him. When I mentioned to Willow, I couldn't help watching her closely. Tentatively, I asked, "Do you know Makoto? He was kind of a star at our school." She let out a simple then turned her head, almost reading my mind. "He helped me once," she admitted calmly. "If he ever needs my help, I'll return the favor. But I know the difference between gratitude and love. Gratitude is just basic decency. It doesn't mean giving myself away." Her honesty landed like a warm hand over my heart. Then, without warning, she rose onto her tiptoes and kissed me, soft and certain. "She's right about him. He is a good person," Willow said softly. "But so are you. You're kind, you're brave, you're sincere. Don't talk yourself down." Her words slipped under my ribs, gentle but powerful, and something in me trembled. I looked at her, stunned for a heartbeat, then a smile tugged at my lips. Leaning in, I kissed her, quiet, grateful. "Thank you," I whispered. I was about to pull away, even reaching up to pinch her cheek playfully, when she suddenly looped her arm around my neck. Her voice dipped, warm and teasing. "Something brushed past my lips just now," she murmured. I didn't see clearly. "Do it again." The bullet comments on screen erupted. Viewers screaming, celebrating, waving virtual flags for the grilled noodles couple. College life moved fast after that. Messy, busy, and beautifully ordinary. I heard through classmates that Makoto didn't end up with Freya or Maria. Instead, he buried himself in medical research, chasing a cure for his grandfather's illness. Maria stayed with him, steady as a shadow, though their story never shifted into romance. But all of that felt distant to me now. My world was moving in a different direction. I dove deep into my AI major, losing sleep, gaining purpose. The intelligent program I created took off. Overnight, it felt like the whole country was talking about it. And yet, no matter how chaotic my days were, I always came home to the smell of Willow's cooking, her grilled noodles simmering in a pot just for me. The moment I stepped through the door, I wrapped my arms around her, breathing in both her warmth and the familiar aroma that never failed to make me hungry. "Yours are still the best," I said, completely sincere. She gave her usual small lips curling the way they always did when she was quietly pleased. After dinner, she looked at me in that way, eyes soft, gaze lingering, a look that always meant trouble for my schedule. I tried to escape. I should probably work late tonight. But before I could finish, she slipped onto my lap, her expression playful, her voice low and sweet. "You're full," she whispered. "Now it's my turn." Life wasn't extravagant or dramatic. It was simple, almost ordinary. But it was the exact life Willow once dreamed of, a life she never thought she'd be allowed to have. And somehow it had become ours.